Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. JUTC drivers resume operation after strike. St. Ann residents want NWC to fix leaking tank. And later in sports, rain interrupts second test in Gaul. I'm Giovanni Dennis and here are the details. Up first, hundreds of commuters were stranded in St. Catherine and the corporate area this morning after scores of JUTC drivers went on strike. They withdrew their services to protest the arrest of a colleague under controversial circumstances at the weekend. The drivers have since returned to work. Codian Barrett has the latest.
This video shows a JUTC bus driver being pulled from around the steering wheel by members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force on Friday night. It has sparked a series of protests in Portmore, Spanish Town and Rockfort. The incident occurred in downtown Kingston.
The driver would have been issued certain directives. He would have responded to the police. And in short order, what we saw in a video that has been circulating on social media is that the police stormed the bus and pulled the driver from said bus. The staff and other drivers are upset over the manner in which the police treated their colleague. They say it could have been handled differently.
It's reported that the driver attached to the Rockfort depot was preparing to leave downtown Kingston. However, an unmarked police vehicle was parked in front of the bus. He requested that the police car be removed, but was instead instructed to reverse. When the JUTC driver refused, he was pulled from the bus, arrested and subsequently charged. JUTC Communications Manager Cecil Toms says dialogue is taking place following the protest.
We will be meeting in short order, hopefully very soon, with the police high command and the union, so things can get back to normal as quickly as possible.
First Vice President of the University and Allied Workers Union, UAWU, Clifton Grant, told our news team that the drivers are demanding that the police high command address them and give the assurance that they will be protected on the roads. In the meantime, Mr. Toms says the protest has severely impacted regular transportation.
It will have some kind of impact for sure, given that we have a rollout of, over 200, 300 buses per day on a daily basis. But like I said, I'm being highly optimistic that this can be resolved in short order.
Codian Barrett, TVJ News.
In the meantime, First Vice President of the University and Allied Workers Union, Clifton Grant, says the police high command met with JUTC drivers at the Rockfort depot. Mr. Grant says it was agreed that further discussions would be held at a later date. And our news team caught up with commuters in St. Catherine who were impacted by the protest.
I'm come out, I see a JUTC bus out here. I'm come see people out here. Well, if them a taxi, them gone, Take taxi and gone, not for them.
Yeah, because I don't have no more money. I'm a bus card, I have some no more money. So, I have to do something. I have to go back to my yard, because I don't have no money to take no $300 or $400 to go pay no taxi. How am I going to reach home?
Okay, so you would have just stop up on your bus card?
Yeah, right. That's the last $500 I use.
A leaking National Water Commission NWC tank is wreaking havoc in Minard and surrounding communities in St. Ann. Residents are calling for the NWC to fix the problem urgently. Sandy Williams reports.
The National Water Commission supplies around 190 million gallons of water daily to more than 400,000 registered customers. However, for almost a year, hundreds of gallons of that water runs constantly on the Minard Main Road in St. Ann. This means some of the 400,000 customers have no water in their pipes. It's a matter residents of Minard and surrounding communities have been complaining about for several months.
To my knowledge, I think consistently for now it's about 8 months, but it's more than that. Because every year it happens. So if we add that up, it would calculate it to about 3-4 years or 5 or even more. How come so much water has been wasted and the surrounding communities are not getting any water? Orange Hill, Minard Hill, Tricy, Standfast, Goshen.
They say the road surface is deteriorating as a result of the running water. Councillor for the Dry Harbour Division, Carlton Ricketts, says he had contacted the NWC on numerous occasions to get the matter resolved, but to date, nothing has been done.
So I am using this medium to speak to Water Commission about the matter and ask them to correct these measures. Because one, the people, when the water runs like that, the people cannot get that kind of pressure in their pipes. Number two, these running of constant water is damaging the road surface. And I'm asking Water Commission to make amends and get these fixed. Like, no.
Regional Manager at NWC, Richard Williams, confirms that the entity is aware of the problem, which stems from a lift pump at the Minard well.
From time to time, there are issues, electromechanical issues that affect the real lift pumps. One will go down and the other will still continue to operate. When one goes down, we have an excess volume because one is not able to pump off the 1 million gallons. So you'll have an excess volume which overflows from the tank and runs onto the roadway until we are able to resolve the situation.
As for the damage done to the road, Mr. Williams says the NWC will repair it within the next 2 weeks. Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
To other news, even as primary school administrators laud the government for the resumption of face-to-face schools, they are lamenting the initiative has exposed decades-old problems in the system. The issues range from limited water supply to poor infrastructure to a shortage of teachers. Kalisha Williams has that story.
On November 8, thousands of primary school students island-wide returned to the classroom for the first time since the pandemic. But while these students in rural St. Catherine have been readjusting to the physical classroom problems, at the Lucky Valley Primary School, there are 6 grades, 125 students, but only 5 teachers.
I have asked the ministry for a teacher, so they are in the process of looking at how we can receive a teacher here at Lucky Valley to relieve me of my of this academic duty so that I can focus mainly on the administrative duty. But for now, for this term, I have to be focusing on both the academic and administrative duty.
And with students both at school and online, we were told teaching has been challenging.
To balance both, it is extremely difficult because some of the times to get the administrative work done, I have to spend hours after school.
As for the Lucky Valley Basic School, Principal Barbara Johnson says returning to a classroom with the same old problems has taken away the excitement of face-to-face classes.
We need a computer so that we can interact with the children more. When we do the subject areas, then when we have the computer, then we can do games and the letter sound and vehicle sound and all of that. So we are in dire need of our computer. We had one before, and somebody came in and took it away. What we are doing, we need to go online. We have some tablets that were donated, and we can't use them. We don't get the Wi-Fi as yet in school. We are down for cash to get the Wi-Fi in the school. And if we have our computer, it would help us with the tablet.
Then there's the issue of water. Students are now required to wash their hands frequently as a COVID-19 safety protocol. But schools like the Berry Hill Primary and Infant School do not have water in their pipes. A decades-old issue that we were told the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation is struggling to address.
Sometimes the volume of water at the pumping station, there's not enough. And so water has to be trucked. I know for New Mountain Industrial Primary, there's not a water pipe, a main source there for water for the school to have water at New Mountain Industrial Primary. Also for Herewood Primary, there are no lines leading off the main road for those schools.
As for the other issues plaguing the schools, Counsel for the Mount Industry Division, Vijay Curlew, says the corporation is also seeing how it can help. Kalisha Williams, TVJ News.
Jamaica recorded 53 new COVID-19 cases from 793 samples in the last 24 hours. The overall case count now stands at 91,222. The country's COVID-19 positivity rate is 7%. In the meantime, 3 more persons died from the virus in the last 24 hours, pushing the death toll to 2,391. A 20-year-old man from St. Mary is among the deceased. There are now 809 active cases. 165 people remain hospitalized with the virus. 24 are severely ill, while 9 are critically ill. 95 more people have recovered from the respiratory illness, pushing the country's overall recovery count to 62,539. And it's now time for a break here on the Midday News, but please stay with us. We'll have much more when you return. Welcome back. We're continuing the news. The Jamaica Public Service Company is calling for the government to regulate fees charged by licensed electricians and certified electrical inspectors. This following a recent spike in the cost of mandatory inspection and certification of properties to receive electricity. Sandy Williams reports.
With the privatization of electrical inspection, Jamaica Public Service JPS customers are now required to pay up to $25,000 before their property can be certified. JPS says this is a new cost that customers must now pay in addition to the electrician's fees and the cost of house wiring. But the utility company says consumers have been complaining that they cannot afford the high fees. Effective November 1, the government transitioned to a new system where licensed electricians and private inspectors are now responsible for certification and are free to set their own fees. The JPS wants the government to regulate fees charged by licensed electricians and certified electrical inspectors. Senior Vice President for Customer Services at JPS, Ramsey MacDonald, says the company does not believe consumers are getting fair prices. Mr. MacDonald is concerned that unreasonably high prices for the services will encourage electricity theft and expose communities to electrical safety hazards. Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
And this just in, human rights activist and attorney Nancy Anderson is dead. She died this morning at hospital after a brief period of illness. Ms. Anderson served as counsel in numerous cases in the various courts of Jamaica and at the Privy Council. She was co-counsel in the highly publicized Caribbean Court of Justice case Shanique Myrie versus Barbados in 2013. Ms. Anderson was also a member of the Independent Jamaican Council for Human Rights and a board member for Citizens Action for Free and Fair Elections CAFE for more than 20 years. And it's now time for the Business Minute with Cody and Barrett.
In the world of business, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has pledged financial support to help members of the entertainment industry recover from the shutdowns caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Speaking during the JLP's annual conference on Sunday, Mr. Holness acknowledged that the COVID-19 containment measures have been devastating to many in the industry.
We've contemplated how we can very quickly after the pandemic resuscitate and support the sector. The sector is responsible for brand Jamaica and for keeping the Jamaican flag flying all around the world, an incalculable benefit that we get, so we can't be mean-spirited to the entertainment sector.
And in business internationally, U.S. air travel is almost back to pre-pandemic levels, at least on holidays. The Transportation Security Administration screened 2.45 million people Sunday. That's the busiest day since the pandemic began. It's also double the number of people who passed through airports last year. The total number of air travelers for the weekend was 89% of pre-pandemic levels. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Cody Ann Barrett.
And it's now time for the top regional and international stories with Sandy Williams.
In regional news, in St. Vincent, teachers at West St. George Secondary School are expected to write to the Ministry of Education on Monday over concerns about the government's vaccine mandate. The teachers have warned that they are prepared to continue their sit-in, which they started last Friday, if the Ministry of Education refuses to meet with them. Last Friday, vaccinated and unvaccinated teachers at the school protested against the COVID-19 vaccine mandate, which could see some of them lose their jobs and accrued benefits if they do not take the jab. On the international scene, South Africa's health minister says there is absolutely no need to panic over the new coronavirus variant Omicron, despite a surge in cases. South Africa also condemned the travel bans imposed on the country, saying that they should be lifted immediately. Omicron has been classified as a variant of concern. Early evidence suggests it has a heightened reinfection risk. The heavily mutated variant was detected in South Africa earlier this month and then reported to the World Health Organization, WHO, last Wednesday. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Sandy Williams.
And we now head to a quick break. When we come back, Simon Preston will have your Midday Sports.
Welcome back. It's now time for Midday Sports. I'm Simon Preston. Persistent rain wiped out 2 sessions as Sri Lanka reached 113 for 1 at stumps on day 1 of the second test against the West Indies in Galle. Only 34.4 overs were bowled on the opening day as Pathum Nissanka and Ashada Fernando were at the crease at the close of play on 61 and 2 respectively. Captain Dimuth Karunaratne was the only wicket to fall as he departed for 42. Roston Chase has taken 1 for 33 for the visitors. The Caribbean side made 2 changes to the team that lost the first test as Versamy Permal came in for Rakeem Cornwall, while Kemar Roach also came in for Shannon Gabriel. West Indies bowling coach Roddy Estwick gave an assessment of the team's performance on day 1.
I thought it was good. We could have been a little bit better with maybe a little bit too many boundary balls, but I thought Kimar and Jason bowling 13 overs on the trot went past the bat quite a bit. Obviously, their captain is in good form. I think we stuck to our plans well. We wanted to take the stumps out of the equation and make him hit the ball through the offside. I think we achieved that. If you look, he scored 40 out of 90 balls. So I thought that all in all we bowled well. We could have gotten 1 or 2 more wickets, but that's how cricket goes. We'll come tomorrow, we'll work hard, we'll make sure our plans, we keep reviewing our plans and then try and go out and execute them.
Estwick also spoke about the plans for day 2.
You've got to contain, we've got to make sure that we get our field placing right. I've had a discussion with the captain straight after play. I've had a discussion with the bowlers as well on the things that we plan, just to make 1 or 2 little tweaks, make sure that they don't get away from us, they don't score too freely. You've got to be disciplined on this pitch, even though it's spinning slowly. So you've got to make sure that you get the ball in the right areas.
Sri Lanka leads the 2-match test series 1-0. To football we go now as Reggae Boys defender Adrian Mariappa has signed for top-flight Australian club Macarthur FC until the end of the season. This move ends his 6-month spell without a club after being released from Bristol City in May. The 35-year-old is the first reggae boy since Woolwich Wolf in 2009 to join a team in the A-League. This move also ends Mariappa's 16-year spell in England, where he played with Watford, Reading, Crystal Palace and Bristol City. Macarthur are currently 4th in the A-League and are 2 points off league leaders Melbourne Victory. Mariappa will be available for selection for Macarthur's next game against the Central Coast Mariners on Sunday. Mariappa has made 58 appearances for the Reggae Boys since making his debut in May 2012 against Guyana. And finally this afternoon, Reggae Boys captain Andre Blake made 2 saves in a penalty shootout for the Philadelphia Union as they advanced to the Eastern Conference Final of Major League Soccer on Sunday. The Union defeated Nashville SC 2-0 in the shootout after a 1-1 scoreline in regular and extra time. Blake saved the penalties of Hani Mukhtar and Anibal Godoy as the Union advanced to the conference finals for the first time in the franchise's history. Nashville missed their other 2 attempts. Another Reggae boy in Alvas Powell played 109 minutes for the Union. The Union will face either New England Revolution or New York City FC in the Eastern Conference Final on December 5. And that is it for your Midday Sports Report. I'm Simon Preston. Giovanni, it is over to you.
Well, that's the Midday News. I'm Giovanni Dennis. We ask that you save some time for primetime news at 7. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, have a good afternoon.